Hey guys, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about Type 1 lifting. So, Type 1 lifting is a clothing line that proceeds of the shirts and tanks and everything else goes to the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So, this all came about with me and seeing a 5-year-old girl in the emergency department that had new onset of diabetes. So, just take a look at the website. It's www.type1lifting.com. So just check it out. If you don't buy anything, that's perfectly fine. I would just like for you just to take a look and just see what we have. So, like I said before, www.type1lifting.com. And guys, I hope you enjoy the show. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I have an Australian YouTuber, or actually South African YouTuber, Wykie Estsebeth. How's it going?
Good, man. Very well. So happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. I'm thank you again for doing this. I'm a big fan of your YouTube page. I am a religious watcher, so I've been watching probably about 6 months now, and so
I really appreciate it. It's always nice to meet someone that with YouTube you just see the number of views, but you don't never see the faces.
yeah,
So it's always nice to actually meet people that watch your stuff. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, and you've been in CrossFit for quite a while, and you actually own a gym. So how did you even get involved with CrossFit?
Yeah, so I knew from a young age that I would be involved in the sports and fitness industry. I started going to the Globo gym with my dad as a young, I don't know, 8, 9-year-old boy, and just loved the gym. But I always felt like there was something missing with the traditional gym model. Always felt like it'd be cool to have a bit more of a community around this thing and not just be, me doing my thing in the gym. So I found CrossFit.com while I was working as a personal trainer at a Globo gym. And we just started doing some of the workouts at the Globo gym, which wasn't ideal situation for it. I remember the owner at the time wasn't very impressed of us, doing kipping pull-ups in the Globo gym and things. But yeah, decided to kind of break away from the machine in 2011, took the plunge and just rented a small space and started a little CrossFit gym. Yeah. So quite a while back.
Yeah. So did you have any ambitions to be like one of those elite CrossFit athletes, or what was your thinking on it?
No, I really enjoyed the local comps. I always made sure that I got around to all the competitions and took part and did fairly well on the local level in New Zealand. But that's as far as I went. I was always more passionate about actually introducing other people to the methodology and helping other people change their lives. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what made a South African go to Australia/New Zealand?
Yeah, it's actually an amazing story. But I met a friend at kindergarten. I was 4 years old and he was 3, and we became best buddies. And his family moved to New Zealand. I think I was 9, he was 7. He was a couple of years younger than me. They moved over to New Zealand, and I went over to visit him as a 9-year-old. And I remember coming back from that trip and said to my dad, you got to go check out New Zealand. It's unbelievable. And forward another kind of 5-6 years later, our family finally moved over after Dad went out and checked out New Zealand. So, so it was a bit of a young friendship that kind of took me over there. And I was only 15 when we moved from South Africa to New Zealand, so I didn't have much say in the matter. Dad was kind of, we're doing this. But yeah, it's been the best thing ever. So really grateful that we made that move way back then. So yeah.
Yeah. So what was the trip like from going from South Africa to there?
Yeah, it's a massive move. We literally, as a family, sold everything. So we literally just had our suitcases with our clothes and a few $1,000s in the bank, and just basically started again. So it was tough going. I was 15 years old when we moved, so real key kind of stage of life. I had such good friends as a teenager in South Africa. So going to a new country where they spoke a different language, like in South Africa where I'm from, we spoke only Afrikaans. That was my first language. And so you'd hear English every now and then, but you never get to speak it. And so it was a struggle those first, because it was my last 3 years of school. I really struggled to kind of make my grades and kind of make friends and things. So it was a tough 3 years there to start with. But yeah, looking back now, I wouldn't have any other way. It was cool.
Yeah, very cool. So how long did it take you to actually learn, the language?
I mean, honestly, I still sometimes stumble over my words. Yeah, I mean, I picked it up within, I guess it was a good thing that I was still at school. So I was forced to kind of just fast track my learning and get on with it. So like my dad today, he's been away from South Africa for 20 years and still really struggles with his English. So I guess I was lucky I was just young enough to still pick it up pretty quickly. So I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years it took to kind of feel comfortable to have a chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you obviously, like, talking to American people, did you get like, did you quickly pick up like what our language is and kind of like, know our sayings and like lingo and stuff?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, obviously you watch movies and things. So in South Africa, you still watch movies in English. So you can kind of understand it. It's more the speaking part that was a challenge. You never get to practice speaking it. But as far as understanding it and kind of knowing the lingo, I kind of, you pick it up as a child in South Africa as well, for sure.
Okay, very cool,
yeah.
very cool. So is it true that like American movies come out earlier over there than it is in America?
Over here in Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. That could be, I don't know, that could be true, yeah.
Because
I'm not sure.
I've heard stories like, I'll give you like, what do you call it? The Infinity Gauntlet, the Marvel series. I think it came out in Europe first.
Okay.
Marvel Endgame, and then it came out first in the Europe like area, and then it went to like America in a couple of weeks after.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's the same way with food here. I feel like a lot of, especially New Zealand, a lot of other countries get our prime meat first. It gets distributed to the rest of the world first, and we get the last fix. So I think that's the case. Yeah, it's the case with many things. Wherever it gets produced, it often gets shipped off, and someone else gets to enjoy it first. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So if I ever go to New Zealand, like, what should I try first?
Oh, New Zealand. There's a dessert called the pavlova, and there's a bit of a battle between the Australians and New Zealanders as to who actually created it, like who actually made the pavlova. But if you're into desserts, the pavlova is amazing. Trying to think what else is like a typical New Zealand food. I'm such a South African man. I think that's funny. I eat like a South African still today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the New Zealanders love their kind of just roasts, like the roast chickens and roast lambs and things. So yeah, I mean, definitely have to try the New Zealand lamb, I guess. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So since we're talking about food, what kind of food do you like for the American food?
I've only been to the States. I came over to the States in 2016 for the CrossFit Games. It was the last games in California. I'm a massive burger fan, man. I love good burger. And I guess the Americans just do everything oversized and to the extreme. So I remember really enjoying the burgers at the local kind of restaurants and things.
Yeah.
I didn't even try In-N-Out Burger in California. Someone told me to try it and I didn't get around to it. But I don't know. Yeah, I just love a good hot dog, love a good burger. And I guess you guys do that pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be a bartender in Boston. And we used to have the biggest burger in Boston. The thing was like massive, and it was like one of the best burgers I think around in Massachusetts. And it was like I could literally cut it and have like leftovers. That's how big it was.
Yeah,
so.
Just huge. Yeah, you guys do everything to the extreme. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too much, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you talked about you own a gym for a little while, so. What was the whole like community like when you first started it? Like what was your thinking from, just thought about opening a gym to having, clients?
Yeah, sure. I think community has always been a big thing for me. Growing up in a small town in South Africa, I really kind of understood the value of community and living in a little tribe, I guess, there's such value in that. And so I was really excited to break away from the Globo gym and just start my own little fitness family in a sense. And I actually had a full-time job. I worked for the police at the time as well. So I didn't just plunge. I've always been someone who, I want to take risks, but I also want to do it in a way that's just going to be, I guess, calculated and, not reckless as such. So I had a full-time job with the police, working as their fitness instructor, kind of training up the police officers. And so my boss there was really good at letting me kind of slowly reduce my days and my hours at the police as the business was growing. Mm-hmm. So that was a real blessing, kind of going from 5 days to 4 days, all the way down to eventually just going full-time with the gym. It was a grind, man. Like, starting across the gym is easy to kind of look at someone from the outside, I think, oh, they've got their own gym, they must be doing really well. And but it was a struggle to kind of make ends meet and make the business work. This was back in 2011, so what's that, 10 years ago? So I would have been 24. So still a young pup, trying to start his own business. So I made all the mistakes in the book, and then so maybe for the first 3 or 4 years, made all the mistakes in the book, and then the following 3 to 4 years tried to kind of undo those and reset some things in the business that wasn't great. But the community was always strong. I think me and my wife generally cared about people, and so we went out of our way to kind of care for people, to help people. If they had to raise money for a certain cause, we always ran events at the gym and made a real effort to serve people through the gym. And so the gym grew pretty organically, even though I made business mistakes. I think just through generally caring, people were attracted to our community, and it grew pretty well. So it was an amazing time of life. 2011 till 2016 before I moved over here. We ran that gym in New Zealand. So yeah.
Very cool. So how many people did you have in your gym?
We probably grew to around 140 members in our gym.
That's good. Yeah.
Which is great for what we were charging. We always made a point of charging a premium price. Like, we really believed in the product that we were delivering. So we never got involved in the kind of the cheap membership battle type thing. We always just backed ourselves on charging a premium price. Mm-hmm. So at 140 members, that was more than enough at the price we're charging to run a successful business. So I think 140 was probably what we did there. And then we started another gym here on the Gold Coast in Australia when we moved over, which was a complete mistake. I shouldn't have started that gym. We moved over here, and I thought, what am I going to do? And all I knew to do is I knew how to run a gym. And I saw a building on the corner of the street one day, and I thought, man, that'll be a nice space for a CrossFit gym. And I signed the lease, rushed into it, and started that gym as well. And that really struggled for whatever reason on the Gold Coast. We ran there for 3 years and actually closed that one down in the end to pursue the video stuff, actually. So
because I remember you were talking about how you sold the gym, and during that time, I think it was like 2017, you started making your YouTube videos. So what made you decide to go into YouTube?
So I was always doing the media side of things for the gym. I always enjoyed kind of taking the photos and making the videos for just for our gym's content. And I guess just through that process, just fell in love with the gear and watching different creators on YouTube, to the point where in 2017, I got to the point where I was like, man, I love this so much. I think I need to close the gym down and just follow this new passion of mine. Like, I was literally lying awake at night thinking about the next video I was going to make and how I was going to shoot it, and what was the next piece of gear I wanted to buy. So it just kind of started consuming me. And it still does today.
Very cool. So what made you kind of like, it was mainly like some of the videos were all business side of the gym. So what made you go to like straight into like just CrossFit, media?
I probably kind of found me, to be honest. Like you mentioned, like I was doing some business coaching with a lot of CrossFit gyms around the world, and so a lot of the content I put out was kind of business focused. But then I met Cara Saunders here on the Gold Coast. I think 2019 it was, and her and her business partners invited me to go to Hawaii with her to create some content for her new business, Active Eyewear. Mm-hmm. And so that trip to Hawaii, I just met so many amazing people. I met Noah Olson, I met James Newbury, just a bunch of cool people in the space, Pat Vellner. And so I think I kind of decided on that trip that, hey, all my content from now on is going to be just in the CrossFit space, because I love the athletes and I love the sport. So I thought if I can somehow figure out a way to make my passion for video and photo meet my passion for the sport of CrossFit, that'd be just the dream. And so I started to just make my content purely focused in that space. Yeah,
very cool. And I was like looking through your whole library last night, and so you were like the first bunch of videos, you were in the couple hundreds. Then you had that one video, I think it was Pat Vellner, I think, or the Hawaii one you had that like absolutely blew up. So what were your thoughts of like, holy cow, I could probably make this like a full-time gig?
I mean, to be honest, the YouTube channel is still a very long way from, I guess, being at a place where I can live off that solely. That's certainly the goal. Like, the dream is to just have my YouTube channel and just make a living doing that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think after the Hawaii trip, something just clicked. Like, I felt like prior to that trip, I wouldn't have called myself a YouTuber or even a videographer or photographer, to be honest. I was very insecure about calling myself that. I had no formal training. I literally just taught myself on YouTube. And so I think coming away from that trip and just seeing the kind of content that I produced from that trip, I was like, you know what, my stuff is good enough. And then I guess the amount of feedback I got from that trip and the amount of work that flowed from that trip made me realize that, you know what, there could be something here and maybe I am good enough to do it. So actually, Noah Olsen invited me to Miami after the trip to come and film with him. And the Torian Pro, he asked me to document their comp. So a couple of major things that kind of happened after the trip that made me realize that, yeah, this could be a cool thing to pursue full time. Yeah.
Very cool. So who was your inspiration throughout YouTube to make this kind of content?
I'd say my biggest, with content creation, there's kind of two things. There's the quality side of things, like making things look really pretty. And then there's the storytelling side of things. And often you'll find the creators have they are strong in one of two areas. And so Casey Neistat is the name that probably most people would recognize on YouTube. And he's an amazing storyteller. But then there's someone like Peter McKinnon, who, again, a lot of people probably recognize. Yep. And he just makes things look so incredibly beautiful. And so I guess my goal is to be a great storyteller that also makes things look really good and pleasing to the eye. And so those two big inspirations of mine in the filmmaking space. But then as far as the CrossFit space goes, I met both Craig and Jazz, and also the Buttery Bros. I met them both in Hawaii as well.
Yeah, very cool.
And yeah, they've been two creators that I've been following closely. And again, like Jazz and Craig's stuff is a bit more raw and real, like it's a bit more vlog style, whereas the Buttery Bros have really high production quality. They tell great stories as well. But again, those are two creators in our space that I kind of look up to as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you keep in contact with them, or just like asking questions or anything like that, or?
Yeah, we're good friends now. So I remember actually Craig and Jazz were over here in 2019 for the Torian Pro, mm-hmm. and it was also the World Cup final where the Springboks were playing. I don't know if you watch rugby union at all, but rugby union is massive in both the UK and also in South Africa. So they were in the final, and so me and my wife, we went out to a bar with Craig and Jazz and watched the final. And the Springboks ended up beating England that night. So Craig wasn't very happy, but yeah, we catch up whenever we can. And Heber and Mars were over here in Australia last year for an event called the Tribal Clash.
Yep, I remember
it's a big kind of team event. Yep. Yeah, so they invited me along to come and help them document their vlog for that weekend. So yeah, I consider those guys good friends, and we stay in touch. Yeah.
Yeah. So did they give you any pointers at all?
I think, to be honest, I mean, Craig often reached out to me for advice on gear and stuff like that. Kind of a bit of a gearhead. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a good chat to, especially to Craig in Hawaii about the channel and kind of where he came from, and you try and pick up what the secret is from these guys, but you quickly realize that all it is just consistency and hard work. It's just time and time again, it just comes down to, I've just been doing this for a long time. I keep doing it. I keep uploading. There's no real secret to it. And so, yeah, I just admire those guys for the amount of hours they put into their craft. Yeah.
Very cool. So where did you get the tagline, "What is up, you sexy beasts"?
Yeah, it's, I was, as a young guy at school, I was pretty insecure about the way I looked. I was a freckled-faced, redhead, scrawny young dude. And so I remember my first year of university, every first year person gets allocated a person that's in the final year of their high school career. Okay. And so you kind of you call them your master, they call them your master. And so this master looks after you for the year. They humiliate you and smash you, but they also kind of mentor you and look after you. It's an interesting relationship. But I remember my master, my senior, looking at me one day, and he must have noticed that I was just, head down, just not very confident. And I remember him just grabbing me one day and say, "Mate, you are a sexy beast. Like, just be confident who you are, and just don't be so shy and so insecure." And he called me a sexy beast, and it just stuck in my head for some reason. It's kind of that phrase to me just it represented like me accepting myself and being confident in who I am. And so yeah, the term just stuck, and I've always remembered, and I've always used it. I've always called people sexy beasts, and it's just kind of my thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it how like original it is too.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Very cool.
That's good.
Yeah. So do you still have like some insecurities at all when you're in front of the camera at all?
Oh man, absolutely, all the time. Yeah. It's Yeah, it's such an ongoing battle, like not caring what people think. It's just human nature, we just care what others think about us, and you constantly have to fight the urge to care about that stuff too much and just to be yourself. I really like to be involved in the comments with my subscribers. I like to try and get back to them and have a chat, but that also means that you get to see some of the comments that you get. I know some creators just kind of avoid the comment section. So yeah, I think it's an ongoing balance to kind of strike, is to just be yourself unashamedly and not worry about what other people think. But that's easier said than done. So yeah, I often, like, if you actually saw how long a video takes me to record, like, there's so many takes, because I just often will just go, no, that wasn't good enough, I've got to go again, or yeah. So definitely still some stuff, but I'm definitely a much more secure man now than I was back in high school.
Yeah, that's like me doing podcasts, like talking about the intro or doing like ads. It's the same thing. I'll do like 20 takes, and I'm like, I'll just like think about it, then I'll be like, oh shit, I messed up, so I got to do it all over again. So it's I understand it. And one thing I love about your YouTube channel, like, I remember watching one of your snatches that you've done, and you kind of had to bail out on it. So I love how you videotape all your fails too, as well as like your wins.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. Like that particular video you're talking about, the purpose of that video was to put up a video of me snatching 100 kgs. Like, that was in my mind, like, cool, today I'm going to snatch 100 kgs, and that's going to be the cool video. And so when I didn't get it, and I had all this footage of me not getting it, I was like, you got to be real. Like, you got to show your audience, what real life is. And it was awful. Like, it was, even though nothing pretty about any of those snatches, they were pretty ugly looking. But I was like, I was going to put it out and just show people who I am and what I do, and hopefully it inspires others to show themselves who they are as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do too on Instagram. Like, I've done like showing fails. It could be like everyone posts like a highlight reel, and it's like that's not all the time. So just post your fails, and it happens.
Totally, it's so relatable. It's refreshing when you see people that you look up to and people that you follow. You see that they are just normal people, because it's so easy to put people on a pedestal and think, oh, they're always winning, they're always happy, and it's like, that's just not reality for majority of us anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you did that video of the snatch, you have like an outside gym, which is sick. Absolutely, I love it. So how did you think about the design of like the backyard gym for you?
Yeah. We bought a house last year, exactly 1 year ago, last year this time, and we bought it because it had a massive backyard. It's got heaps of space for my daughter to play. It had enough room for us to put a pool in, and it also had this little corner in the backyard, which I thought would be a great home gym. And I do a lot of work for a local company here called AlphaFit, who make rigs, just over-engineered, just beautiful rigs that just survive outside. And so being on the Gold Coast, like, it's the sun's out a lot. Like, it doesn't rain a whole lot here, and so it's made sense to have an outdoor gym where we can enjoy the sun, train, and it's good.
Yeah, very cool.
So I love it.
I remember what you talked about one time. The wooden rings that you had, it snapped while you were doing like a muscle up or dips. So what are some things, if someone wants to have an outside gym, like what are the things that they should consider?
Yes, definitely don't let your wooden rings stay outside for extended period of time. So it was so dumb looking back on it, like we had quite a wet summer, to be honest, and so leaving it out to kind of get wet, soak in the water, and then dry out, and get wet and dry out, the wood just completely disintegrated. And so so I had a pretty close call there on the ring muscle ups. It wasn't it was scary. But yeah, I guess you got to obviously just you're going to have to buy gear that is coated so that it can be, I think they zinc coated. It's called zinc coating, to kind of make it rust proof and be okay to be outside. And then I also kind of put a shade cloth over top of the gym. So during summertime when it's really hot, the bars do get quite warm. And so having a shade cloth over is a good idea. But other than that, like, no matter how good a job you do with the flooring and stuff, just with the heat expands and shrinks, and the gym's never going to look 100%. So I have trouble with my flooring kind of moving and in gaps. But that's just what comes with being an outdoor gym. So you got to be okay with it being a bit rough and rugged, I guess. Yeah.
So is there concrete underneath that, or is it just like dirt?
No, I got a concrete slab poured. Yeah. So I actually got a guy to come and properly put down a concrete slab for me, which is cool. So yeah, I think you definitely need that, a nice flat surface. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I love that gym. Every time I see you work out on, I'm like, God, I wish I had something like that like my house. But I pretty much train indoor in my basement. So, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
just want to go outside and get some sun and lift. But that's so cool that you have that.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh? Because I don't appreciate it enough. Like people often mention the gym and how awesome it is and how lucky I am, and it makes me feel guilty because I don't feel like I use it enough. Like I should be out there more often. Like most days I'm only out there for half an hour to an hour max. I just do a bit of lifting, get a quick wad in, and then I'm back behind the computer working.
Mhm.
So I do feel like I need to make an effort to get out there more and spend more time out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
are you still doing proven?
Yes. Yeah. Still improving. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made
Yeah,
you get
loving
into
it.
that?
I actually ran a programming company for a long time alongside my gym. And so I understand the value in getting a program from someone else and following a plan. And so for too long, like after closing the gym down here and starting the one in Auckland, for too long I was getting out there and just doing whatever felt fun to do on the day, like whatever I felt like doing. And I knew that wasn't the best approach to move forward in my health and fitness.
Mm.
And so I decided to jump on a plan, and a few of the local boys here, James Newbury and at the time Khan Porter, were both raving about Proven. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll jump on and try their stuff, and it's been awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So
Yeah.
talking about James Newbury, you met him in Hawaii, and like how are you able to meet the other like elite CrossFit athletes and kind of talk to them and be like almost like you're pretty much buddy buddy with them?
Yeah, so that was definitely a big launching pad. The kind of Hawaii trip was a big launching pad because I met so many great. I met Shane and Tia there as well. Just so many great people in the space, and so you kind of, I guess, I was kind of able to leverage those relationships to kind of get some good interviews initially and some good content of some big names, and that makes it easier. If you can do a video with Noah Olsen and then send that video to another athlete, say, hey, this is what I've done with Noah. Would you mind jumping on and doing something similar with me? It just helps having that backing. So yeah, I'll be forever grateful to Kara and her business partners for flying me over to Hawaii for sure. And then the other thing is you can just reach out. Like these guys are so approachable. Like I think that's one awesome thing about our sport is that the athletes are so approachable and so personable. Like you can actually get in touch with them and if you bang on, if you miss them enough, you'll get through and get them to jump on. And you'll probably know this as well. Reaching out to other personalities in our sport, like everyone's so happy to help out and be involved. So yeah.
Like I interviewed Royce Dunn a while back, so
Yeah.
I'm a taller guy, and so I love like bigger athletes. So
Yeah.
I tagged him in a post from Instagram to kind of like this is the guy I want to these are the people I want to interview, and he was like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm all in, let's go. And I was like,
Let's do it.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, and even like some of the other athletes I've interviewed, it's just like, oh my God, like I'm actually talking to you. Like you're like one of my favorite athletes. So do you
Yeah.
ever get like the butterflies or any like,
Oh,
like holy cow, I'm talking to this person?
all the time. Yeah. All the time. It's yeah. I definitely I still view these people as superstars. And still get nervous. Even my friends, like even Noah, like who I consider a good friend, I called him just before the the West Coast Classic, and I had a bit of nerves, and I was like, why am I nervous talking to someone who I've stayed with and I know personally, but they're just amazing human beings, and I think that nerves is a sign of disrespect and awe that we have for them, so it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I remember one of the videos you had, you were talking to a bunch of the athletes that were going to the Torian Pro, and you were going from like one room to the next, and you literally had them like on, what do you call it, FaceTime or whatever you have over down there. And so it was like so
Yeah.
cool, just like you talking to everybody, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And just
Yeah.
pretty much just shooting the shit. So that was
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty cool, man. It's a real privilege, right? Like it's an interesting one. Like once you kind of find yourself in that circle, in that bubble, it becomes really easy from there on in. It can seem like a bit of an impossible task. Kind of so many people want these relationships with these athletes, and so I definitely don't take it for granted. Like I'm really, really lucky. So yeah, it's an interesting one where it's that they are approachable and they're happy to help, but it can also seem hard sometimes to break into that kind of circle of people, that group of people. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think what, like obviously you talked about the Dave Castro and Saban podcast. So do you think it's kind of like what Dave Castro said where, he thinks that people, want something from him just to be friends? Do you think that's what like other athletes do?
Yeah, I think some athletes definitely have a more skeptical approach, where they're like, or not. Yeah, I think these athletes really value the hard work they've put in and the brands they've built for themselves, And so I think some of them take that extremely serious, and so they definitely think twice before, getting someone involved in their lives, or and then others just don't care. Like they almost understand to undervalue their brand, And the two guys that come to mind is James Newbury and Noah Olsen, just guys that are so willing to just be involved with anyone and be on anyone's show, and it's amazing. But I think like their partners might tell you, I know both Joanne and Kayla will probably tell you that it doesn't impress them how willing these guys are. They should be more protective of their time and their brands, perhaps. That'll be my guess. But I've definitely noticed there's definitely some athletes that protect their brand a lot more and a bit more cautious, and other ones that are just a bit more, I don't care, just whatever, So everyone has their own kind of approach to it.
Yeah. Have you ever had someone say, like, when you're recording them, say, like, get rid of it or anything like that?
No. I mean, I had the. This is a bit of a unique situation with Ricky Garrard, but I had. That's probably the only one, but that's probably more just because of the timing of his band coming off this year and things. I've never had anyone else ask me to not record them or get rid of certain footage I've taken or anything like that. But I think with Ricky, it was more like he just came on board with a new coach and had a bit of a team around him. And I think just last minute they just said, look, we don't think this is a good idea. And he had to be the kind of bearer of bad news to me. But I think, it's going to be interesting to see once October comes around, when Ricky's ban is up. It's going to be interesting to see how willing he is to engage with the media and with people that want to ask questions, because he has been extremely, extremely, I guess, shy to say anything, So
what was your experience with him? Like, did you kind of see him as like one person, then after like meeting him and like hanging out with him, do you like think of a whole different person?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely the way he's being portrayed is not accurate. I think he definitely took a few knocks early on, which is fair enough. Like there was a lot of upset people, and I think I don't think you can blame anyone for the things they say about Ricky. I totally get where that comes from. But that aside, spending a day with him, he's definitely not the monster that some people might think he is. He's just a dude, like honestly just loves hanging out with his dog and training at his garage. He trains extremely hard. He's an animal. So I'm hoping that he can come back and show us all what the athlete he really is without the help of any substances. So so again, it's a tough one, because I don't blame anyone for not liking him or for giving him a hard time. I think it's fair enough. I think he could have helped a lot with that by just being a bit more open to communicate and explain the situation and just owning up a bit more, to be honest. And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to kind of give him that opportunity to talk to someone who's not malicious, and because I think he does have that kind of barrier up, like, oh, what's this guy going to put out about me? How's he going to spin the story? So you can see it from both sides,
Yeah. So what do you think of after the ban's lifted in October? Do you think he's going to be tearing it up next year in the games at all, or?
I think so, man. I think so. I think he's on a mission to really prove himself, and from what I can see, like the numbers he's putting up, the time he's showing, I think he's going to be a force to reckon with. To be honest, that's my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how people receive that, and but I do think he's going to be one of the top athletes in the world for the next kind of 3 to 5 years for sure.
Yeah. So I remember, I think I heard he was actually doing the West Coast Classic workouts during the times, and he was actually getting like some legit numbers. Did you get any of the numbers or the weights that he was doing?
No, not at all. So he used to. I know he's always done that. Like he's always kind of loved competing while the live events are on, which I think is a cool idea. And he normally has the whole gym community there yelling at him and things. And that's where that one video came out. Where he bet Matt Fraser's time last year in that Nancy workout, and then that was all on show, and he kind of took that too far in my opinion. But so I think he still does that, but now he's not as concerned about showing the world. So I think he's obviously still hinting to the world that, hey, I'm still doing these, and but he's not showing his times. I've got no idea how he's gone with those workouts. Yeah, they didn't show, like, I saw that video yesterday on a story of him finishing that muscle up clean ladder, but he didn't show the TV after to see if anyone else had finished before him. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. So so do you have like any other people that you want to, like, videotape or do like a day in the life with?
Oh, so many. I think that's the frustrating thing, being so far away over here in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do videos with Cara and Matt, Cara and James and Khan and Royce all the time. Like, they are incredible value to have on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd love to hang out with some of the American athletes. Like, it's a dream to meet Matt. I haven't met Matt before, so it'd be great to meet Matt Fraser and do a video with him one day. I'd love to spend some more time with Tia and Shane. They seem like awesome people. I think that's probably a more realistic one. With James being quite close friends with Tia and Shane, and I'm good buddies with Pat Orr, who's Shane's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've met Tia and Shane, so I think that's not off the cards. It's more just about getting over to the States and having the exposure and the time with these athletes here.
Yeah. So the gym that they train at, I've been there before. It is massive. Like,
it looks huge.
The videos don't even do it justice. It's unreal. Like, I walked in there just for like a pop in, like a just a drop in, and I just my mouth dropped because I was like, first of all, I got lost because you have to go behind the building, and I'm like, where is this place? And then the lady was like, if you hear the music, just keep on going to the music.
Follow the music, yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So I walk all the way down, and then I open the door, and it is like, it's ginormous. It's like 3 football fields together, and it's like they have like a grass field on one side and like 3 rigs, and it was insane.
That's the dream.
Insane.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, I couldn't believe like the amount of space this guy had, and he's like super nice too. Like, I wanted him to get on a podcast, but he was like, I don't know, just like scheduling issues, but like super nice guy, and and like there's not so many nice people there too. So
yeah. Unreal. Yeah, it's a challenge with obviously with young family. I've got my wife, and I say young family. I mean, me and my wife have been married for 11 years now, and my daughter's 9, so I guess we're not a young family anymore. But I guess just traveling by myself, it's a lot of fun. But I'd love for them to come with me, and so I think that's probably one of my main challenges when it comes to creating in-person content with these athletes. Is just I'm hoping that in the future I can take my wife and my daughter with me, and we can travel together and like go see these athletes, and so we'll see. Yeah.
So with COVID and everything, like, you couldn't go to any of these like events except for the Torian Pro, pretty much. So what did you think about the sanctional season this year? Yeah,
I think it went as well as it could have gone. From what you could see on the live feed, all the live in-person events seemed like they ran pretty smoothly. I was definitely disappointed with the attendance. From what I could see, like at the Granite Games and even the West Coast Classic, it didn't seem like it was as packed out as I thought it would be. So it's going to be interesting to see the games as a packed out stadium. I really hope it is. But yeah, man, I think they did a great job. To have to pivot so quickly, and there's been so much happening in our space. And I think what people don't realize is CrossFit's like a big ship on the ocean, and like to turn that thing around and to change direction, it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think people can lack a bit of grace for the people that are leading the thing sometimes. Like, people can be really critical, including myself sometimes on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we have to realize is change will take a bit of time with this stuff. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. So I'm sure there's many more things they want to change about the season and how it runs, but it will take a few years to roll out. So yeah, I think it went pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
The one thing I did miss was like the Atlas games and stuff. They didn't have like a live feed for that or any of the online qualifiers. So you had to like literally look at the leaderboard and refresh it every time. So I wish there was like some way you could watch those videos instead of just like waiting till like them posting it on like YouTube or stuff like that.
Yeah, well, they could have done the Rogue Invitational thing where all the athletes do it at the same time and film it live. So it is doable. Like Rogue set the standard so high with that event.
Yeah.
People always talk about how they did it. The only drawback with that was some athletes around the world had to do the workout at some ridiculous hour of the morning. Like, I know Cara had to get up in the middle of the night to do the workouts, but you had then the spectator luxury of seeing them all go at the same time and seeing it live. So yeah, it probably was just too hard basket for CrossFit to arrange a live feed like that to happen around the world. Yeah.
So what do you think about the last chance qualifier? Who do you got?
Oh, it's a pretty cool thing. I really like the idea of, these athletes are all like games level athletes and they've just missed out. So I think it's cool to see them all go, like have another go. I wish there was a few more spots, like maybe 3 or 4 spots rather than just 2. But yeah, I mean, I've got to back my Aussie mates. I've got to back James Newbury. He's flown over there. He finished Torian Pro and decided to just jump on a plane and fly over to give himself the best chance to make it. So I think with him being under the guidance of Shane and training next to Tia, I definitely have to back him as a spot. And then, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Khan Porter do it. It's so hard to know, man. I don't know. It's only 4 workouts as well. It's not a whole lot of workouts. On the ladies' side, man, Alexis Raptors really impressed me at the West Coast Classic. I'd love to see her go. I think she deserves to go. So I'd love to see her do it. And who else? Yeah, I mean, I've got Alethea Boone. She's a veteran in the sport that's from Australia. So, I mean, I'd love to see her go. But again, it's just more an emotional pick rather than a pick on stats. I'm not that familiar with the athletes in the States, some of the other names. There's a few big names that stand out. But, I can Alexis Raptors and James Newbury are my 2 picks for winning it. Yeah.
Very cool. For some reason, I thought it would be like 4 or 5 people going through. And then I realized it's like 2 people. And I'm like, that kind of sucks. So like 30 people and you only have 2 spots.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but it is what it is. They should have punched tickets at the sanctionals.
True. Very, very true. So one thing is I do like about your YouTube channel, you get the news and you actually get like another aspect of like, Australia and New Zealand and that side of like the country where like we can't get it anyplace else. Like people in America, we don't know what you guys are doing. And so that's one thing I like about, your channel. And also where do you get your news and kind of, get your ideas of like talking about certain situations in CrossFit?
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this topic this morning. Like I'd love for my channel to be a bit more structured in the sense that I would love to have a plan for the month and already plan out my videos and what they're going to be about. At the moment, it's very off the cuff. So it's very like, what's the hot topic at the moment? Like what's come out of CrossFit or what is some games athlete posted that's interesting that we can talk about? So it's very much dependent on what the athletes are up to and what they're posting and sharing. And then also seeing what some of the other creators in the space have to say, like I often reference Armin Hammer. I really value his kind of input and view on things. And then, listening to the Sivan, Matt and Josh podcast and all those kind of things, seeing what, even like my buddy Nate, he's a Canadian dude, Nate Edwards, he runs a channel. Yeah, just seeing what everyone's talking about and what everyone's vibe is on things and then kind of giving my perspective. And I think it's a cool thing. Like everyone has a different view on things, a slightly different take. And so I think there's many more spots for creators like myself in the space to say, to say their piece and give their 2 cents. I think people can often think, oh, it's too saturated. There's already creators that talk about this stuff. And it's like, nah, there's enough ears and enough audience for all of us to be successful.
Yeah, and it's good to have multiple people talking about different point of views and like everyone can dislike that or like it, but it's just like it kind of makes you think too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think everyone has their own. Some people are more pessimistic and skeptical and negative, and that attracts a certain audience, and then others are a bit more try and see the good in it and be positive. It's probably a bit more like me. I guess I try and find a positive in the story for the most part. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm more on the positive side. I don't like the negative stuff. I mean,
yeah, totally. It's a hard one because you want to be honest about situations, and if something happened that's not good, and you want to say what your truth is, like what you believe about it. But yeah, I always try and find a way to keep it positive and keep it upbeat. Yeah.
One of the videos you talked about was how a lot of people were objectifying the women in CrossFit, and you talked about like how there was a porn issue or whatnot, or like so I mean I loved how you opened up about that and kind of talked about objectifying women, how it's like not right, and like how you helped yourself kind of get better. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think it's an issue that, I don't know how high the percentage would be, but it'd be a pretty high percentage of men that would struggle with that kind of stuff. Just give me 1 second. Would you mind closing the door? Yeah. Sorry, my wife and daughter just walked in the house. Yeah. So I think it's an issue that's really rampant in our society. I think men have a real issue to control their sexual desires, and I think it can be so normalized, and people can think it's not a big deal. Like because everyone struggles with it, it must not be a big deal. Because everyone's no one can keep their eyes off women, and everyone's watching porn. It's just normal, like it's okay. And I think it's really dangerous because it's like I actually think a lot of men lose out on quality of relationship because of those kind of unhealthy relationships with things like porn. And so it's some people might look at it and go, oh, you're way too conservative and way too stuck up, but for this myself, my reality is I've definitely seen how things like that can affect my relationship with my wife. Like if I'm constantly looking at porn every day, and I feel like it definitely takes away from the way I view my wife, and it affects our sex life. And so so I think it's something that needs to be talked about more, and I think it's helpful for other men when you go, hey, I actually think this is not okay. Like I think it's actually unhealthy. I think it's other men would probably go, oh, you know what, I probably agree if I'm honest with myself. So and I think in our sport, like we are such a tight community. I think it's really important that we look after the women in our sport and in our family. I think such an important role of a male is to be a protector and be someone who actually speaks up against injustice and and look after our people. So yeah.
Yeah, because I actually have talked to a bunch of females, and they've talked about high level like athletes, not in the CrossFit, in the CrossFit space and like outside the CrossFit space, and the DMs that they get, and they've told me it's unreal the amount what people say or what like they send pictures of, and it's like, why would you think that's okay?
Yeah, and the reason I think it's okay is because it's so normal in their heads, because they see it every day on different platforms. And I think that's the danger of it. It's the normalization of it. People just are so desensitized that they think they can do that, and it's like that's not okay. Like you can't do that. It's not normal. And I guess that's the problem with the internet as a whole. Like it's just face to face is so much more. Like they'd never do that face to face. But because they've got the safety of the distance through the internet, they can get away with stuff. And so yes, I love it when people get called out like this. There's this channel that I follow since the Morning Talk Up article came out. I found this channel where actually I don't know what it's called, but it's essentially a channel where they just call out guys that make inappropriate comments on women's feeds and DMs and things. So they just expose them and show what the kids they are. But yeah.
Oh, you got to tell me what that is later on, because that
I'll find it. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
I can imagine like some of the stuff. It's probably like people comment. I can't imagine the comments on that one.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they just leave their names. They don't block out their names. They just show the name of the actual person. So they just fully throw them under the bus, which is just great. Yeah.
Unreal. So I know you talked in one of the videos. You have to pay about $16,000 if you wanted to come to, Wisconsin. So did you get a GoFundMe page yet, or what's going on with that?
Nah, I think I've made the call that I won't be coming. We've just had another round of lockdowns here in Australia, just short ones, but there's just too much uncertainty. Like I would just hate to get stuck over in the States, for longer than I need to. And I think it's unrealistic for me to expect brands to pay me the money I need to make this work. So the main extra expense is just the quarantine. You have to pay for quarantine when you come back here. And then obviously 2 weeks quarantine means no work for 2 weeks. So it's just basically making up my income for those 2 weeks plus paying for the quarantine. It blows you out the budget a bit. Because I do have some great brands that I work with, like WIT, or there's some brands I can kind of get in touch with and get some work. But I think I'll just have to sit tight and wait for next year, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just getting too close now. Yeah.
So how did you get involved with like WIT and the other brands?
So I met WIT's media manager, Mackenzie, in Dubai. So I got some great opportunities, like the ones with Noah, but then there's other ones that I just kind of paid my way. Like Dubai, I got in touch with the event organizer and said, hey, I'll come and shoot your event for free. Like I'll fly over my own cost, stay at my own cost. It won't cost you a cent, and I'll document. I'll create content for you. And they were just pumped to have me. So they gave me a media pass, and I did that whole weekend for free on my own cost. And yeah, ended up meeting Kenzie from WIT and sparked up a friendship, and then Strength and Depth rolled around in London, and I said to her, look, I'd love to come and work for WIT if there's an opportunity, and yeah, she was happy to make it happen for me. So they also used me at Waterpalooza that year as well. So yeah,
cool. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
So yeah, it pays off to sometimes just have a crack and do it yourself, and it might seem like a big investment, but it's in the end it's worth it if you put in the work.
Well, yeah, you get the experience and you get to meet a whole bunch of people too. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we're getting close to the end, so I got a couple quick questions. So you've at least recently done some designs on Instagram that you've like drawings and stuff, and you actually talked about that a while back. So what gets you like the artist, like, what makes you think about doing the kind of artwork, and even in your studio too, with like the 3 lines on the back wall or whatnot? So let's get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, I think it's all borrowed, man, to be honest. Like there's not many new things in the world, everything's been done. And so it's getting inspired by other people, and there's a difference between straight up ripping someone off and stealing someone's idea versus, watching a bunch of different artists and creators, and then kind of borrowing what you like and adding your own flair to it. So like the doodles is something that I saw someone else do, not in the CrossFit space, but as a creator I followed. And so I thought I'll bring that over to the CrossFit space. And I guess, I've always had a bit of a creative streak to me. They just comes natural, I guess, some of those ideas, think outside the box. And yeah, I've always liked to make things look a bit different and stand out a bit. Finding ways to do that, whether it's the way my gym looks or the way my office looks. I've always just liked to put a bit of just sprinkle a bit of sauce on it,
Very cool.
So yeah, I'm not sure where that comes from, but definitely a lot of it is borrowed, which is okay. I think, it's something I've learned along the way that's okay to do. Yeah,
very cool. So let's just say you stopped everything, like YouTube videos, CrossFit, pretty much anything. How do you want people to know you as?
I think I want to be known as someone who cares about the one. We all want to kind of influence the masses. We want to make a big change in the world and be a world changer. But I think there's real value in just being interested in one person's life and taking the time to talk to one person. So I want people to remember me as someone who is willing to give them the time of day and to listen to their story and to help them with what they've going on. And I never want to be someone who's seen as being too busy or has too much on, or is too big for me. So I think just someone who's willing to engage with the one is important to me. Yeah.
Very cool. So do you have any goals for like the rest of the year? Like it could be like personal or like business wise.
Yeah, so the immediate goal of the channel is to try and have 10,000 subscribers. That's a pretty big goal of mine that I've wanted to, since I started YouTube, was like, if I can hit 10,000, then I believe that I can hit 100,000. So that's a kind of immediate goal in the channel on a practical level. I want to hit that 100 kg snatch very soon, that's for sure. And then what else? I mean, one of the big goals is to go YouTube full time from a work perspective. Yeah, other than that, just keep being a good dad and a good husband and do well in those things. Yeah,
very cool.
Keep growing.
So, do you have a favorite book you like to read?
I read the Bible every day. So that's a big inspiration for me. But other than that, I love reading business books. Like I've read all the Gary Vee books, Tim Ferriss's books, the 4-Hour Work Week and all those kind of books. So, but I'm not reading anything at the moment. So I need to actually grab myself new books and So if you have any recommendations, let me know.
There's a couple. I mean, do you like fictional or non-fictional?
Non-fictional, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta look. I got a whole library over here, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, sweet.
Very cool.
Yeah, I definitely don't read for entertainment. I read for education. Like I can't read for just I don't do reading for escapism. I'd rather watch a video or a movie. Yeah. But I read to be educated and to learn for sure. Yeah.
Well, actually, one of them I can know off the top of my head. Richard Branson's "Screw It, Just Do It."
Okay, I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's a real quick read. So it pretty much talks about like how he just says pretty much screw it, just do it anyway. So
love it.
And he talks about in the book how he met Phil Collins and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
nice.
It's really cool. So I like that one. And there's like a whole bunch of other ones too. I got so many books that I just like to read. And the problem is like I haven't had the time to read. lately, like yourself, because like I have 2 kids, I work a 9 to 5, and I do this, and like my main thing is like listening to podcasts, or I could just do, I could do Audible on the way to work or something like that. So
Exactly.
yeah, but I've been like just geeking out on podcasts, just listening to like CrossFit news because I drink the juice. So
yeah, yeah, bro. I love it.
So, what would you tell somebody that's trying to get into YouTube, like what to expect throughout the whole process?
Yeah, it's mentally pretty tough, man. Like if you have ambitions of, growing a channel, it's hard going. Like it's, dealing with camera settings and getting the right angle and capturing the right audio. There's so much to think about. So my advice would be, the more you can simplify the process, the better. Like if you can just film on your phone, which already takes care of the audio and everything, that's where I would start, Yeah, I would. And in actual fact, I always encourage people to do stories on Instagram. Like start with stories so you can get comfortable being in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. If that's what your channel's about, like if you have to be the one in front of the camera, start by doing. I feel like stories is a great training ground for it. You just hit the button, talk to the camera, and just put it out to the world, and just get over your fear of being in front of the camera. That's a great training grounds for it. But other than that, you just got to keep uploading. You just got to keep putting things out to the world and just try your best not to look at the analytics. And again, I say that, and I look at my analytics most days to kind of see what's going on, the views and whatnot. But you got to just keep putting things out to the world, and keep it simple. It's be yourself. It's like I said before, there's no real secret sauce. There's no real easy way. It's just But also, I would watch a lot of other creators. I think people can feel guilty for spending hours on YouTube and watching videos, but if it's something that is helping you with your craft, I think it's completely okay. So I spend hours watching other creators and getting inspired by them. So
Yeah, my son does that too. He's 6 and he wants to do like a YouTube channel. So I have like this little GoPro session.
Nice.
And so we actually did like a little like YouTube video. I haven't posted it yet, but he wants to, he follows like a bunch of kid YouTubers, and he like wants to do like everything that they do. And so, and he knows I have the gear too, so he's like, let's do it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think also just starting real simple, like just the talking head part. That's just really easy to edit, and then just slowly building on that with different pieces of B-roll. So B-roll's like the footage you overlay on the on the talking head. So just not going too complex too soon. Just keep it real simple to start with, and then slowly add the blocks to it as you go along. Yep. So
camera, phone, and iMovie. That's all you need.
That's it, man. Exactly.
Very cool. So, where can people reach out to you if they have any questions with like their YouTube, or asking about CrossFit, or are you owning a gym or whatnot?
Yes, I mean I'm pretty available on all channels, but definitely Instagram and YouTube is probably my main 2 areas where I hang out. So you can slide into my DMs, and most of the time I get back to you. If I don't, just go again. Like I'm starting to get a fair few DMs coming in, so you do miss them from time to time. So it's but definitely reach out there. Otherwise, actually, the comment section of my YouTube videos are not as busy. Like there's only normally between 5 and 10 comments, and so I'll definitely see it there. So give me a shout out on a comment somewhere, and I can get back to you there. Yeah, for sure.
That only 5 comments per video?
It depends on the topic, I guess. It depends on how controversial the topic is. Yeah. Some of them have 50 to 100, otherwise others say 5 to 10. So, but I make a real point of going through them all, the comments. So I'll see you there if you send me a message here.
All right, very cool. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I really do appreciate you doing this early morning for me. So, well, I think was it like 10 o'clock over there now?
Yeah, it's not early, man. I've been up all day.
All right, never mind that. Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this. I do appreciate it.
No worries. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, it's always great to meet the 60 Beast tribe. So I appreciate you.
All right, see you later.
Thanks, man. See ya.